Hi, hi everyone. Welcome back to the course manufacturing pro. Let us continue in part 2 of the video. Today we are going to discuss about impression die forging. So as I explained before, in impression die forging, flash will be formed. The material will be compressed between an upper and lower die, and between the dies there will be a cavity. The cavity will have the final desired shape and size of the product, but some material, some metal will flow beyond the die, and it will enter into the small gap between the die plates. This is called flash. So compression of work part by dies with the inverse of the desired part shape is called the impression die forging. And there will be a flash which is formed by the metal that flows beyond the die cavity into the small gap between the die plates. As you could see here, this is the initial compression process forging operation, and there is an upper die and a lower die. The cavity consists of the final desired shape of the part. And as we keep on compressing the part, we are applying a compressive stress, heavy compressive stress. So material will get compressed, squeezed, material will undergo plastic deformation. We will get a final finished product, but some metal will flow through the gap, narrow gap between the dies. This is an unwanted process which is called, this part is called the flash. We need to remove flash from the final workpiece after the forging operation. Sometimes this flash will help in forging operation in terms of friction. If you see that flash must be later trimmed and it should be removed, yes, of course, but as flash forms, friction resists continued metal flow into the gap, constraining material to fill the die cavity. It is like a blessing in disguise, as what we could say. So as flash is formed, material will not allow to move through the flash, through the small gap, and the material will be confined and it will be allowed to flow within the cavity to get a perfect shape. So even though the flash has to be removed from the final finished product. So this is all about impression die forging. In hot forging, metal flows is further restricted by cooling against the die plates. Now, several forming steps often required. In beginning steps, at the beginning, the material will be redistributed to produce a uniform deformation. And in the final stage, metallurgical structure will be changed, and then the geometry also will be changed. This is the steps in impression die forging operation. Impression die forging is often performed manually by skilled operator under adverse conditions. Advantages and limitations. What are the advantages of impression die forging? In comparison with the metal cutting operation, they are having higher production rates, less wastage of materials, greater strength, definitely greater strength, favorable grain orientation in the metal. Limitations are they are not capable of accuracies like close tolerance. Machining sometimes required to achieve accuracies and features needed, and then definitely flash need to be removed. These are the disadvantages associated with this operation. Flashless forging operation, as I have explained, in impression die forging, one of the problem is production of flashes. So flashless forging operation is a technique where we will not have any flash. We will not allow the material to flow through the gap and to produce flash. This is called flashless forging process. Starting work part volume must equal die cavity volume in the case of a for a flashless forging operation. Process control is more demanding in flashless forging to avoid any kind of flash formation. It is best, remember, this is very important point. This is best suited for parts which has a very simple and symmetrical geometry, and they are also called as precision forging process. Accurate control of the stress or the force is required in flashless forging operation. Here you can see here before starting the forging operation, after forging operation, this is intermediate compression or partial compression takes place. Then final finished product, you can see here the material is confined and you can find that there will not be any wastage of material, and there will not be any flash formed in flashless forging operation. But normally this is applied for very simple and symmetrical products. Then how do we produce products using forging? What are the machines used for forging operation? We have two types of hammers which can give impact. Impact means sudden load, sudden impact through which we apply compressive stress and change the shape and size. So we have two types of drop hammers. They are gravity drop hammers, where impact energy from falling a heavy weight called a heavy ram, when it is dropped from a certain height, the sudden impact will change or deform the material. This is called gravity drop hammers. The second category is power drop hammers. We accelerate the ram with the help of pressurized air or steam. By use pneumatic control or by steam assisted system, we accelerate the ram and apply the stress, compressive stress, and deform the material. These are called forging hammers. Sudden impact load is applied. Disadvantages are impact energy will be transmitted to the building, that is floor of the building. That is one of the disadvantage. The stability of the building, if it is no strong foundation is not there, it is going to affect it. This is commonly used for impression die forging. Now you can see here heavy weight in a drop forging hammer. It drops and hits the material which is kept at the bottom here in the anvil. The material will get deformed. This is a ram which is used in the drop forging hammer. There is a frame and there is a piston rod, then there is a ram, and the ram, this is a heavy weight. When it drops and hits from a specific height, the material will get deformed. You can see here, this is the construction details of drop hammer. There is an anvil where we fix the material to be deformed, and the ram heavy weight and supported by piston rod. The ram will hit the material and the material will get deformed. This is the construction details of a drop hammer details, and this is by gravity or by pressurized methods. Forging process. What are the forging process? There will not be any sudden impact. There will not be any sudden impact, but there will be a pressure which is applied gradually. This can be done by mechanical press, which converts rotation of motor into ram. So motor is connected with the ram. As motor rotates, ram will slowly and gradually pressurize the material. Hydraulic press, using hydraulic means we can actuate the ram and pressurize it. Screw press, we can use screw mechanism in a screw press. The most widely used forging operation is called upsetting and heading. What is the meaning of upsetting and heading? Production of heads. Production of heads on nails, bolts, and similar hardware products is called upsetting or unheading process. This is the most widely used forging operation compared to any other forging process. They are also called headers or formers. And the wire or bar stock is fed into machine, end is headed, and then piece is cut into length. For bolts and screws, after upsetting and heading, they are sent to thread rolling, and threads will be formed on the outer surface. How do we do upset forging operation? You could see here the wire stock. This is the raw material, and which is kept in fixed within there is a constraint which is called stopper. Then they are fixed between the two dies. Now the dies are open. You call it as gripping die. There is a punch. So this is a starting position. Then the grip will be closed. The dies will be closed, as you could see, and stop will be removed. And there is a die. You can see here there is a particular shape of the head here, die, and there is a punch. As punch moves, it compresses, steadily compresses the material. Material will undergo plastic deformation, and finally we get a final shape of the head. So this is how we produce heads in nails, bolts, screws, etc. So bottom to form the head, as you could see. How do we produce different heads? That you can see here. This is first heading a nail, the nail, head of the nail. How we produce head of the nail using a punch, open punch. Then how do we produce, you can see here, round head formed by a punch. This is a round head formed by a punch. Then you can see similar things. Several shapes, several head shapes can be produced for the screws, etc. Carriage bolt head formed by punch and die. See here, both punch and die has a shape, and this is called carriage bolt head formed by punch and die. Similarly, several shapes can be produced, as you could see here. Two common head styles of screws and formed by die. You can see the die is formed like a bolt head, and then by carriage bolt head formed by punch and die. Several shapes can be produced by heading or upset forging process. Finally, in impression die forging, the extra material or wastage of the material will be in the form of flash. Flash need to be removed. So as we need a trimming press for that. In the trimming press, we have a punch, and the part is kept in the die. And as punch moves downwards, the flash part will be sheared, and then we can remove it. There are other methods also, such as grinding or sawing or metal cutting process, using which we can remove the unwanted flash material from the surface of the final finished product. So thank you for watching in part 2 of forging operations.